There is a recorded phone call, and it is not the one that got Joseph Duggar arrested. This one was made 2 days after his arrest, on the evening of March 20th, just hours after Kendra Duggar walked out of the Washington County Detention Center on a $1,470 bond. Joseph called his wife from inside the same facility she had just left. And what they said to each other on that call, and more importantly, what they deliberately did not say, tells you almost everything you need to know about where this family is right now.
Did you hear that I'm out here with, did you hear where I'm at and everything?
I don't know. Should we say it?
I think that'll, well, I don't know. Maybe not. But they've got me a good place to stay that's very private.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm happy about that.
So,
I was hoping.
yeah, and they're taking.
Well,
So you're doing okay?
I'm trying to keep my spirits up.
She would not say where she was staying, on a line she knew was being recorded. She stopped herself mid-sentence. He did not press her. He did not ask about his 4 children. Their ages range from 3 to 7. She did not mention them either. The call moved on. We now know exactly where Kendra was. We know whose house she was in. We know what was happening with those children at that precise moment. And we know that in the 48 hours between Joseph's arrest on March 18th and Kendra's arrest on March 20th, something unfolded inside the Duggar family that goes far beyond one man being taken into custody. There was a coordinated effort to keep investigators away from those children. It involved multiple family members. It involved a house on a public street in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And it failed, but only because news cameras showed up at the right moment and made it impossible to keep pretending nobody was home. Joseph Duggar has now been transferred from Arkansas. He is in transit to Bay County, Florida. He is heading toward an arraignment on 2 life felony charges. He is not coming back. And the family he left behind is doing what this family has always done: closing ranks, controlling the story, protecting the institution above everything else. Before we go any further, this episode covers detailed developments in an active criminal investigation involving an alleged child abuse case and a separate child welfare investigation. We cover it factually and carefully throughout. Please know what you are walking into. If you are new here, subscribe right now. This channel breaks down exactly what the evidence shows, exactly what investigators are doing, and exactly where this case is going in real time. Hit the bell so you are notified the moment the next update drops. Drop a comment and tell us where in the world you are watching from. This community spans every continent, and every one of you is part of why this work gets seen. To everyone who has been here, every subscriber, every person who shared the video, every comment left, every recommendation to someone who needed to see it, thank you. Genuinely. You are the reason cases like this one do not get buried after the first headline. Now, let us go back to the moment Joseph was arrested, because that is when the second story in this case began. When a parent is arrested on charges of this nature, Child Protective Services does not wait to be asked. An investigation opens automatically. It is not optional. It is not discretionary. It is a legal requirement. The moment Joseph Duggar was placed in handcuffs on March 18th, the Arkansas Division of Children and Family Services was obligated to open a secondary investigation into the welfare of his 4 children: son Garrett, age 7, daughter Addison, age 6, daughter Brooklyn, age 4, and son Justice, age 3. That investigation required 2 things. First, a home inspection. Investigators needed to physically enter the home and assess whether anything inside posed a risk to those children. Second, and critically, investigators needed to make direct contact with the children themselves. In any child welfare investigation involving allegations of this nature, speaking with the children is not optional. It is the core of the process. What happened next is where this story takes a sharp turn. According to sourced reporting, investigators were able to get inside the home. They found things that raised concerns, but when it came to the children, they could not reach them. The children were not there, and neither was Kendra. Instead of cooperating with an investigation she was legally required to participate in, Kendra Duggar did the opposite. She was gone. The children were gone, and for 2 days investigators could not get to them. Here is what actually happened in those 48 hours. The moment Joseph was arrested, the Duggar family moved Kendra out of the home she shared with Joseph in Tontiton. According to sourced reporting, the decision was made that Kendra should not stay at her own home. The explanation given within family circles was that she needed privacy and security. The practical result was that she was taken, along with the 4 children, to the home of Joanna Forsyth and her husband, Austin Forsyth. Joanna is Joseph's sister. She is 28 years old. She and Austin have 3 children of their own, son Gideon, daughter Evelyn, and son Gunnar. She and Austin bought their current home in August of last year. The property is held in a trust, but property records confirm it is their home. The address matches the location where Michelle Duggar was filmed confronting the journalist on a public street. That was not the main Duggar family compound. That was Joanna and Austin's house. That is where Michelle was. That is where Kendra was.
The connection between Joy-Anna and Kendra is not incidental. Kendra was close to Joy-Anna before she ever started courting Joseph. They are the same age, both 27 at the time of the arrest. Austin Forsyth was close friends with Joseph, which is how he became connected to the family. Kendra was close friends with Joy-Anna, which is how she became connected to the family. Both relationships existed before the romantic ones did. Joy-Anna and Kendra did not become close because of the marriage. The marriage happened partly because they were already close. That history matters, because it is the reason the family trusted Joy-Anna with this, and it is the reason Joy-Anna said yes. On her Instagram stories on March 26th, Joy-Anna posted a brief public statement. She wrote that what had come out about her brother was heartbreaking and deeply disturbing, that her heart was with the victim, and that she was taking some much-needed time away from social media to be with her family.
She did not mention that the reason she was spending time with family was because Kendra Duggar was living in her house. She also noted in her post that she had some pre-filmed paid brand commitments she still needed to post. She intended to keep those going while otherwise stepping back. An influencer maintaining brand deals while housing a woman facing child endangerment and false imprisonment charges during an active CPS investigation. Here is the sequence of events as reconstructed from sourced reporting, property records, and publicly documented news footage. After Joseph's arrest on March 18th, investigators opened the mandatory child welfare investigation. They went to the family home in Tontiton. Kendra and the children were not there. They had already been moved to Joy-Anna's house in Fayetteville. Investigators found concerning items inside the home but could not complete the investigation because the children, the very people the investigation existed to protect, were inaccessible. By the time Friday, March 20th arrived, investigators had enough from the home inspection to move forward with charges. The Tontiton Police Department arranged for Kendra to meet them at the main Duggar family compound, not her own home because that is not where she was, to be served with the arrest warrant. The expectation was that Kendra would show up at the agreed-upon location and be taken into custody. She was not there. She was at Joy-Anna's house, with the children, while local news cameras were positioned outside the main Duggar compound, watching the whole thing unfold in real time. KNWA and other local outlets captured footage of law enforcement and DCFS arriving at the compound. Investigators indicated they had a warrant. They were told Kendra was not home, which was true. She was not at the compound. She was several miles away at a different address in a house on a public street with her children while the family attempted to manage the situation from the outside. What changed everything was the cameras. Once it became publicly visible that law enforcement was at the compound, that a warrant had been issued, and that the family was not cooperating, the calculus shifted. The optics of a family actively evading a child welfare investigation on camera in front of reporters became impossible to sustain. The family then drove Kendra to the detention center. She turned herself in, she was booked, and DCFS was finally able to take the children. 2 days of attempted obstruction ended not by a change of heart, ended by news cameras on a public street. That is also why Michelle Duggar was the one standing in front of Joy-Anna's house screaming at a journalist about protecting children, because at that moment, she may well have been trying to protect those children from the investigators who had a legal right to speak with them. That same evening, hours after Kendra was released, Joseph called her from inside the detention center. The call was obtained by People magazine. It is a recorded collect call. Every word of it is now part of the public record. Joseph Duggar is being held in solitary confinement at the Washington County Detention Facility, 23 hours a day in an 8x10 cell. This is standard practice for high-profile defendants and for individuals facing charges of this nature, kept separate from the general population for their own safety and to prevent incidents with other inmates. Notice what is not in that call. He does not ask about Garrett. He does not ask about Addison. He does not ask about Brooklyn or Justice. 4 children between the ages of 3 and 7. Their father calls from jail and does not ask where they are, whether they are okay, or what is happening with them. He also confirmed something else in that call. When Kendra started to tell him where she was staying, she caught herself. She said they had found her a good place that was very private. She used the word I, not we. She did not say the children were with her, because by the time she made that call, they were not. DCFS had already taken them. The call also reveals one more detail that matters legally. Joseph removed his wedding ring during the booking process. It was confiscated with his other belongings. In the call, the two of them discussed Kendra coming to retrieve those belongings. A man who has confessed to the conduct described in the affidavit, sitting in solitary confinement in an 8x10 cell, arranging for his wife to pick up his personal items. All of it recorded, all of it now in the public record of this case. In the days following Joseph's arrest, a wedding took place within the extended Duggar family circle, a friend of the family from their broader community. Members of the Duggar family attended. And at that wedding, according to sourced reporting, they spoke openly about what was happening. What they told people was this: Kendra was fine, she was safe, she was staying with Joy and Austin and was being well taken care of. The children were not with the family. Everything was under control. They did not mention the arrest warrant that had been issued for Kendra. They did not mention the CPS investigation. They did not mention the home inspection findings. They downplayed the situation entirely and presented it as a family rallying around one of their own in a difficult time. But here is the part that matters most. According to the same sourced reporting, the Duggar family's support for Kendra exists on one condition and one condition only, that she stays with Joseph. If Kendra were to separate from Joseph, to leave him, to move forward without him, the family support disappears entirely. The housing disappears, the resources disappear, the inclusion in the family disappears. Everything that is currently being provided to Kendra is contingent on her remaining loyal to the man whose confession is the centerpiece of a Florida felony prosecution. That is not support. That is leverage. Kendra's own family, her parents, her siblings, are reportedly not in contact with her. The choices she is making have created a distance there, which means the only support structure she currently has is the Duggar family. And the Duggar family has made clear, through sources, what the price of that support is. Stay with Joe or lose everything. Joanna Forsyth deserves her own section here, because what she is doing is not passive. It is an active choice, and it has real legal and personal consequences that she may not be fully thinking through. Joy-Anna is 28 years old. She is a married adult with 3 children of her own. She runs an active social media presence and has active brand partnerships. She is not a teenager following her parents' instructions because she has no other option. She is a grown woman making a decision to house her sister-in-law during an active child welfare investigation at the direction of her parents, while publicly presenting herself as someone taking time away from social media to process a painful situation. The public statement and the private reality are not the same thing, and there is a legal dimension to what Joy-Anna is doing that matters. At the time Kendra and the children were at Joy-Anna's house, CPS had an active investigation open into those children's welfare. Kendra was not cooperating with that investigation, The children were inaccessible to investigators, and Joanna's house was the location where all of that was happening. By housing Kendra during an active investigation and by having the children present at her home during the period when investigators were attempting to gain access to them, Joy-Anna and Austin placed themselves directly in the path of a CPS investigation they had no obligation to be near. And here's the part that creates additional risk for them specifically. Joy-Anna and Austin Forsyth have their own documented history of parenting practices that have drawn public criticism. Locking their son Gideon in his room with an external door lock, the same type of conduct Joseph and Kendra are now charged with in Arkansas. Unsecured weapons accessible to children in the home. Children in construction areas without shoes. Children on ATVs without helmets. These are not rumors, they are documented and publicly reported. Under Arkansas law, unsecured weapons accessible to children constitutes child endangerment. Joy-Anna and Austin invited CPS scrutiny into their own home by becoming the location where Kendra's children were being sheltered during an investigation. And CPS, once involved with one household in a situation like this, has both the authority and the obligation to look at the conditions in any home where those children are placed. If Joy-Anna and Austin believed they were helping by taking Kendra in, they may have created a situation that draws the exact same investigative attention onto their own household that Kendra is currently facing in hers. This is not new, it is a pattern. When Josh Duggar's conduct as a teenager became public in 2015, it was the daughters who sat in front of cameras and spoke. Jill and Jessa appeared in a Fox News interview to contextualize what had happened, to explain that they had forgiven their brother, to absorb the public weight of what he had done. Jim Bob and Michelle gave interviews, but the daughters were the ones who did the visible emotional labor of managing the fallout. When Josh was convicted in 2021, it was again the family members around him, wives, sisters, extended family, who were left to navigate the aftermath while Josh sat in a courtroom. Now Joy-Anna is the one housing Kendra. Now Joy-Anna is the one physically present at the address where Michelle confronted a journalist. Now Joy-Anna is the one whose home is the center of an active situation she was placed in because her father directed her there. Austin Forsyth's construction business relies on Jim Bob Duggar's contacts, his lawyers, his realtors, his relationships, including his close friendship with a man named Bob Bellinger, a central figure in their business dealings. When Austin needs permits from zoning boards in different towns, he uses Jim Bob's resources. When he needs legal guidance, he uses Jim Bob's lawyers. The financial and professional infrastructure of Joy-Anna and Austin's life runs through Jim Bob. That is not a coincidence, that is a structure. And that structure means Joy-Anna cannot simply say no when Jim Bob asks something of her. Because saying no does not just cost her a relationship with her parents, it costs Austin his business, it costs them their home, it costs them the professional network that their entire financial life is built on. They are not in the fold because they choose to be. They are in the fold because leaving it would cost them everything they have built. That does not make Joy-Anna's choices right. It makes them understandable in a way that also makes them deeply troubling. Because understanding why someone makes a harmful choice does not make the choice less harmful to the people affected by it. While all of this was unfolding in Arkansas, the legal machinery in Florida kept moving. Joseph Duggar has been transferred from the Washington County Detention Center. He is in transit to Bay County, Florida. He is heading to the jurisdiction where the charges against him originate. He signed his extradition waiver on March 20th. Florida had 30 days from that date to collect him. The transfer has now begun. Here is what happens when he arrives in Bay County. Within days of his booking at the Bay County Detention Facility, an arraignment will be scheduled. At that arraignment, Joseph will enter a formal plea to the two charges against him: molestation of a victim less than 12 years old, and lewd and lascivious behavior conducted by a person 18 years or older. Both are classified as life felonies under Florida law. At that arraignment, a judge will also address the question of bond. Given the nature of the charges, the fact that a documented admission exists on record, and the classification of both charges as life felonies under the Jessica Lunsford Act, the most likely outcome is that Joseph will be held with no bond. A Florida judge has both the authority and the legal basis to deny bond entirely in a case of this nature. A U.S. District Court judge and Florida judges alike have the authority to deny bond entirely in a case of this nature, if Joseph or his legal team requests a detention hearing to challenge that decision. Florida law requires that hearing to be scheduled within 5 days of the request.
That means the week following his arrival in Florida will be legally significant. An arraignment, likely a bond denial, potentially a detention hearing, all of it moving quickly. No defense attorney has been publicly confirmed in the Florida case. No attorney has been publicly confirmed in the Arkansas case either. Whether Jim Bob Duggar is privately funding legal representation, as sourced reporting suggests is likely, has not been confirmed on the record. What is confirmed is that Joseph Duggar is on his way to Florida. He left Arkansas behind, and when he arrives in Bay County, he will be processed, arraigned, and in all probability held without bond while he waits to face a trial on charges that carry a mandatory minimum of 25 years and a maximum of life in prison. This case is moving faster than almost any case we have covered here. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now so you are in the room the moment the next development breaks. We are covering every hearing, every filing, and every update as it happens. Drop a comment below. We want to know your thoughts on what Joy-Anna's role in all of this means for her legally and personally. We read every comment. Kendra Duggar is 27 years old. She has 4 children between the ages of 3 and 7. Her husband has confessed to a crime on a recorded call. He is now in transit to face life felony charges in Florida. She herself is facing 8 misdemeanor charges in Arkansas, 4 counts of second-degree child endangerment, and 4 counts of second-degree false imprisonment. And she is currently staying at her sister-in-law's house, still, after everything. According to sourced reporting, Kendra's own family, her parents, her siblings, are not in contact with her at this time. The reporting indicates this is because of the choices she is making: staying in the Duggar fold, remaining loyal to Joseph, accepting the support structure the Duggar family has built around her, support that, as sourced reporting confirms, vanishes the moment she separates from her husband. Here is the legal reality of Kendra's position and why those choices matter so much for her specifically. The Arkansas misdemeanor charges against her carry a maximum of 1 year per count. With 8 counts, her theoretical maximum exposure in Arkansas is 8 years. Her court date is April 29th at Elm Springs District Court. But the larger question for Kendra is not the criminal case, it is the children. DCFS took the children on March 20th, the same day she was arrested. She has not had them returned to her. The sourced reporting indicates that as of the time of this update, People magazine has reported the children have been placed in a private location, described as being reunited with Kendra under supervised conditions, though the exact placement status has not been officially confirmed by any state agency. What is clear is this: the path back to her children runs through the CPS investigation, and the outcome of that investigation will be shaped significantly by the choices Kendra makes in the coming weeks. Whether she continues to be housed within the Duggar family structure, whether she cooperates fully with investigators, whether she demonstrates through her choices that she is prioritizing her children's welfare over family loyalty. The Duggar family has told her, through the structure they have built around her, that support is conditional on staying with Joseph. What they have not told her, or what she may not be fully processing, is that staying with Joseph may be precisely what costs her those children permanently. This family is not in a place of reckoning. Not yet. The sourced reporting from the wedding, from the jailhouse calls, from the coordinated 2-day effort to keep investigators from the children, all of it points to a family that is still in the mode it has always been in. Manage the optics, control the information, close ranks. Trust that loyalty to the family will eventually produce an outcome that protects the family. That framework produced one outcome with Josh Duggar, a federal conviction, a 12.5-year prison sentence, every appeal denied, a motion to vacate still pending with no hearing date, and an attorney who previously represented R. Kelly now handling his case from a federal facility in Texas. Joseph is 31 years old. He has admitted on record that his intentions were not pure. He is on his way to a Florida courtroom where a judge cannot sentence him below 25 years, regardless of what anyone in his family does or does not do. The Jessica Lunsford Act does not care what Jim Bob says at a wedding. It does not care who is rallying around whom.
The family is spending its energy managing a situation that the state of Florida has already legally locked. The recordings exist, the affidavit is signed, the forensic interview is documented. A judge already reviewed all of it and authorized the arrest. What the family is doing right now, sheltering Kendra, downplaying the charges, rallying around Joseph, conditioning their support on Kendra staying in the marriage, none of it changes a single word of what is in that affidavit. It only determines what happens to the people they claim to be protecting. Joseph Duggar has been transferred from Arkansas and is in transit to Bay County, Florida. He is expected to arrive imminently. An arraignment is expected within days of his booking. He will almost certainly be held without bond on the life felony charges. A detention hearing can be requested within 5 days of arraignment. Florida court proceedings in this case are about to begin in earnest. Kendra Duggar is out of custody on $1,470 bond. She is staying at Joanna and Austin Forsyth's home in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Her Arkansas court date is April 29th at Elm Springs District Court. Her 4 children were taken by DCFS during the investigation, and their official placement status has not been confirmed by any state agency. Joanna Duggar Forsyth and Austin Forsyth are currently housing Kendra. Joy-Anna has posted a brief public statement calling the situation heartbreaking and announcing a social media break. She did not disclose Kendra's presence in her home. Her brand partnerships remain active. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar have issued no official public statement. Michelle was filmed confronting a journalist outside Joy-Anna's house. Jim Bob has said nothing publicly. Josh Duggar remains at FCI Seagoville, Texas. His motion to vacate his conviction is pending with no hearing date confirmed. Attorney Bo Brindley is handling his case. The Tontitown Police Department has confirmed the investigation in Arkansas remains active and ongoing. The victim is 14 years old. She came forward, she told the truth, and the legal system in 2 states is now moving because of it.
There is a line from that jailhouse call between Joseph and Kendra that has stayed with us since it was released. She says they have found her a good place to stay, very private. He says, praise the Lord. 2 people on a recorded call, carefully not saying what they know, managing the information, trusting that the system that has always protected this family will protect them again. The difference this time is Florida. Florida does not negotiate on life felonies involving children under 12. Florida does not allow first offense status as a mitigating factor. Florida does not allow a judge to go below 25 years, regardless of what a prosecutor agrees to. Florida drew a line in 2005 with the Jessica Lunsford Act, and it has not moved that line since. Joseph Duggar said his intentions were not pure. He said it voluntarily. He said it on a line being monitored by a detective at the specific request of a Bay County deputy sheriff. He said it in a state that needed that exact statement to meet the legal threshold for a life felony. He is heading to that state right now. Joseph has not been convicted. He is legally presumed innocent until proven guilty. The legal process ahead will determine what a Florida court decides. But the evidence that process will examine is already on the record. It has been on the record since March 17th, when he first answered the phone. This case is not finished. We will be here every time it moves. If this breakdown gave you something the headlines did not, subscribe right now. Turn on the bell. Share this with someone following this case. Drop a comment below telling us what you think Kendra's next move should be legally and whether you think Joy-Anna understood the full risk of what she was agreeing to. We are here every time this case develops. See you in the next one.